Hey Moon Magic Super Souls, welcome to today's full moon readings. A full moon very often illuminates the most amazing amount of information. It can help us to see what we need to let go of. It can help us to release and also to see the pathway forwards, the steps we need to take. So we're really going to just explore that energy of the full moon. If you are coming to this reading at a different time and you've just been drawn to it or it's come up in your stream, it's a timeless reading, really. Any pick a card reading, if it suddenly just really draws you, it is almost certain that there is a message there for you. Beautiful souls, welcome back. If you are already a Moon Magic Super Soul and you are returning to the channel, welcome back. It's a real honor to read for you. And if you're brand new, welcome. So we have 3 amazing cards and 3 beautiful angels to choose from for these 3 piles today. So let me show you the cards in more detail. So we have Fall, Fail and Fly for pile 1 with this beautiful angel. Okay, just show you this so you can have a really good look. I think that's focusing enough for you. Okay. So that's pile 1. Pile 2, craft your focus. This is for pile 2. You know, I love that there are moons. I've just really noticed that. There are moons in every card. 2 little crescent moons here and then a full moon. How interesting. This is a full moon reading and we're like moving from crescents to the full. So craft your focus and look at this beautiful angel. So that is the angel for today. And lastly, we have Court the Feminine. This is your card. Court the Feminine. And this is your angel. Okay, so my beautiful souls, I will see you in the readings in just a moment. What I'm going to do first is I will leave the video running just for a few moments longer. You can always press the pause button if you need even more time. And what I'm also going to do in a moment as well is that I will ask the universe and see which pile or piles is recommended. So if you're really, really not sure or you're struggling with your intuition, you can always tune into that next bit in the video where we ask the universe. I'll put a timestamp for it below, along with the timestamps for the readings themselves. Beautiful souls, see you in a moment. Welcome everyone. So we are now going to lean into trust and we are going to ask the universe to find the right pile for you, or piles. Sometimes it's more than one. We're going to ask the universe to find the right reading for you. Piles 1 and 3 are the readings that are suggested. Beautiful souls, I'll see you in the readings in just a moment. Pile 1, let's find out what the full moon is bringing for you or showing you or illuminating for you. We have a lot of beautiful oracle cards and a lovely little tarot deck. Okay, do you know, let me just look at that. Wow, that's 3 cards. We've got a lot of cards here, but they've shown up for you. I think we need to go with those 3. I was just going to draw 1 from this deck, but you've got all 3. Let's draw the other cards. No, we'll just look at these three first. Let's just look at these three first. The way they just swung out for you. A mistake is something to learn from. Okay. Problems provide opportunities to grow and learn. Failure is a side effect of effort and can be learned from. Wowza. And they're all full moon cards as well. Look at that. That's just really, really, really interesting. Let's see what else. I can see we're going to end up like layering our cards, I think, to get everything in. But let's just continue. A mistake is something to learn from. Problems provide opportunities to grow. Failure is a side effect of effort and can be learned from. Okay, fall. Isn't this interesting? Fall, fail, fly. Okay, beautiful souls. So there is an energy around you, that's for sure. You then have reconnection. I wonder if reconnection with somebody or something is possible after something like a breakdown. Feels for me that something has actually gone wrong. That's what seems to be coming across. If your life is absolutely like swimming, you're soaring, everything is just totally and utterly magical, this may not actually be the right reading for you. I think something has gone wrong here, and what the energy, what your guides seem to be saying to you really is, look, this can be retrieved, I think. You know, this is like trying to understand something. I mean, I'm not in any way trying to suggest that you kind of should or shouldn't do something, and if you're feeling really strongly about something, but you may be feeling quite bruised, maybe. I don't know. But a problem really, it's really true, a problem is an opportunity to grow and learn from. It really is. And the same with a mistake or when something goes wrong. The greatest learning often comes from the biggest challenges. I think a reconnection to something is possible. But you might need to get a little bit still here. I think seeds can be grown from something. Okay, let's see what else we can see here. What is it? It may be that the full moon, if you're watching this as I'm uploading it, well, it's the full moon today. But if you're watching this, like if this reading has come into your stream at another time, it might be interesting to look at when the next full moon is, because it may be around the next full moon that you really find that things are illuminated. Things often come to a head on the day of a full moon as well. That's just the nature of the energy. Parent, child, family. What this is really speaking to me about, I mean, for some of you, it could be that this is to do with a family situation. But what it's really speaking to me about is that I think you may be in a situation where it's a bit like, so I don't know how familiar any of you are with this, like it's a particular therapy model called transactional analysis. And in its most simplistic form, I mean, it's an incredibly amazing system of working. It's very, very complex and very deep. But in its most basic form, they kind of work with what they call the parent, the adult, and the child. Interesting, you had 3 cards that have come out here as well. Parent, adult, child. And they kind of almost get people to divide themselves into, or to recognize that they have a parent part within them, which is often the inner critic. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean your parents were critical, but they might have been. But it's like those authority figures that you perceived to be critical and that you've embodied within you that are critical inside of you. So you have the parent bit of you, the critical part sometimes. You have the child part of you, which is the child you once were, and the child, you know, that inner child. You also have the adult, which is really more connected to the you in the here and now, who can rise above these things and really be empowered to create changes with awareness. And one of the ways they get to to really work, get people to work internally, to reflect. And this is a very reflective energy here. One of the things they do is to get people to reflect on what is most active in them when they respond to a situation. Are they reacting as a child, from a child place? Are they reacting in a judgmental, critical place? Perhaps they were judged as a child themselves, and they somehow that's embodied in them. Or are they in the anchored grown-up bit? Most of us can slide into all of these areas within ourselves. The bit that we ideally, especially if you're facing a problem, want to connect with, the bit you really want to connect with is the adult, because that's the part of you that can really get centered, that can rise, can fly, knows that it's okay to fall over and get back up again. It's the kind of rational, caring, compassionate, more aware element of ourselves. And I think that's what's being activated here, actually. It's almost like which bit of you is being activated. Also, for some of you, fall, fail, fly, you may be feeling quite childlike. It's a possibility some of you are feeling quite small, quite helpless in an environment. Sort of makes you want to, it could be connected as well. It could be for some of you in your immediate family, but it could also be the place where you belong. So it could be like your work environment, your work family, or a spiritual group, or your friendship groups. There's something about where you belong, that sense of where you're belonging. I almost feel like there is a need to almost perhaps also, maybe even for some of you, you could parent yourself, but in a good way, a healthy parenting, where you're really supportive of yourself, but also, maybe a firm way. If a mistake was made, that you are, sometimes we have to be firm with ourselves. It's like the difference almost between what I would call, again, this is very traditional language, so this is just a metaphor, but between what I would call mothering and fathering. If you think, and this is, as I said, I'm using very traditional language, but if you think of the mothering energy, the feminine, nurturing you, saying, look, it's okay, really looking after you, and then the more masculine energy saying, right, okay, let's put some boundaries around this. We're not going to stay with this forever. We're now going to decide what we're going to do about it. So how we'll fix it. So it's like a balance of the masculine and the feminine, compassionate, caring, supportive, but also the firmness, actually, right? We need to decide how we're going to move this on, because we can learn from this, we can make an effort, we can change something. And that's kind of what we're seeing here. What else do we have? Let's get more cards for you. Hold on to me. I think something really can fly. Gosh, fall, fail, fly. This is to encourage you, I feel. It's like your feet won't touch the ground. What if you've started something and, tender trust, beloved body. Look at the way they're looking ahead. There's a lot of really genuinely tender, caring energy here. What if you have, maybe some of you, so there could be interactions with somebody else where they're behaving in a childlike way, or the inner child in you is triggered, or the critical parent within you is triggered. But I actually think that whatever the situation is that you are feeling like it's failed, collapsed, or a mistake was made, I do think it can be reconnected, regathered, but it needs to be regathered with learning. So this is a beautiful energy that connects so well with the full moon energy, because it is about seeing things in a really, really clear way. And then with that clarity and from the reflection and the learning and recognizing how you are responding, you gain that self-awareness, and then you take steps, because you can then fly. This really is fascinating. Fall, fail, fly. I almost want to say, it's like, come fly with me, almost, with this. It's like, come along. Okay, let's actually read. Let me grab the book for this card, the fall, fail, fly card. 14. Where are we? Let's have a read. Fall, fail, fly. A great sage once said, you have to break a few eggs if you want to make an omelette. Now is the time for reinvention. Dare to fail, to fall, to get up again. If you want to achieve or create something new, you must be willing to embrace failure as a muse. Breaking relationship, dream or project points you back to reinvention, points you back to reconnection as well. Investigate, stay open, perform a review and take accountability for what has led to this moment of entropy. Don't waste a single moment on regret or shame. That only slows down your regeneration. Failure and creation are mated for life. Rebuild with confidence. This time you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. I suspect that this moon is actually going to illuminate the next steps forwards. It feels for me as if this is a turning point where you can see something clearly, you can reflect upon it. You might want to also just this is also about reconnecting with yourself. If something went wrong and you kind of almost did a bit of you just thought, well, that's it. I'm ditching that. That's not going to work. This might be one of those sort of don't throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing. Actually reconnect, really reevaluate, reassess, and have a real think about where you are right now. That's what I feel the message is that's coming through for you. We haven't even drawn your tarot cards yet. Let's draw your tarot cards, see what else we're shown. May we kindly ask for pile 1, for any further information, well, your first card, the Empress. Nurture, tender trust, beloved body. Nurture yourself and also nurture whatever it is that's gone wrong or failed or broken or collapsed or you thought it was, an all or nothing. Nurture it. This is such a maternal energy coming through. Yeah, I think something here can really be realigned. With the Three of Wands, what I think this situation may have created is actually a really important turning point. So you are now building on experience rather than just an idea. Now you're building on something real, something, because you have awareness now, Now you can build something. With the Empress, and this is a mother. Look at her sitting with this beautiful pram here. And she's smiling with this beautiful cottage behind her. I think this is the turning point. I think whatever went wrong has created a turning point for you in some way. It was purposeful. It was a signpost. It's pointing you in a direction. This is really interesting. That these two cards seem to be the other way up. Let me just check in on this deck. Just looking. No, there are no other cards. Isn't that strange? I had no idea that there were cards in there, unless it's just the way I've shuffled and they flipped around. I think we should use them. Queen of Cups and Five of Wands. Okay, so we've got this Five of Wands, which is a competitive energy. I wonder if you fell down in the face of competitiveness. Could even have been jealousy involved or something like that. Again, jealousy and envy really throw people back into their child place often. Sometimes when you see the worst, the worst in adults, in grown-ups, it's almost like the child is acting out, especially on the sort of anger, angsty stuff. Often what we call behind the back, below the belt kind of behaviour often is fueled by jealousy and envy and things. And this is a card of competitiveness. Maybe it's pointing you in a new direction. Five of Wands also asks you to step up, not down. And maybe you need to really believe in yourself. Perhaps that's part of the problem. Let's say this is just an example. I'm not saying this is how it is for you, but this is an example of the energy. But if you see someone and you're really envious of them because they're thriving, and what it triggers in you is a response, and you almost feel like you want to put them down because, they're doing so well. But actually, the envy and the jealousy really, this should be about inspiration, encouraging you to step up. I'm not suggesting, as I said, this is you in any way, shape or form. But these kind of emotions, it could even be that somebody somebody, I don't know, it could be you're encountering somebody who's quite jealous or envious of you. But it seems to me this is about understanding some kind of a response to something that has not worked through in the way that you either had hoped or wanted it to, or handling an emotional response. And actually now, because I think your situation, you can take off. You can really flourish. You can fly. So it's kind of, if something derailed you, this reading, and maybe this is what the full moon was really, really highlighting for you, is that you can have a good look at this, and you're not helpless. You can do something with this. You are not in any way helpless. And it's like bringing that responsibility. I mean, I suppose that's it, isn't it? With self-responsibility, that's our position. That's our point of power. You can bring the power back to yourself by taking responsibility for your feelings, for how you're reacting, and therefore choosing to see this situation as a signpost for you to be really stepping up into your own kind of emotional wellness, your own emotional ability to fly, to feel good in your own right. I do feel something can fly, take off, do really well. And actually, however that is, ultimately it's you. And maybe it's been a challenge to step up as well. Perhaps you're worried about stepping up in a competitive environment. Well, this is suggesting that I think your guides are really nurturing you to step up into your fullest, and so actually allow them to support you to become the best that you can be. Let's see if I can get that to focus. I feel like the cards are a little bit blurry. It might just be that they're a bit dark. See what else we are shown. You have the Three of Swords. This is time to mend a broken heart. This is time to fix, like move beyond the feelings and the emotions of something that hasn't worked, and really pick yourself up, actually. There's definitely a firmness here. You have the Four of Cups. So this is really a bit of a feeling down in the dumps, but not really seeing, because it's true, isn't it? If something comes along and there's a mistake was made, or we feel like we failed at something, we can get really down in the dumps and feel like it's never going to work. And yet what we failed to see, excuse the pun on the word fail, but what we failed to see was that this was actually a signpost to get you to step up, actually. It wasn't a signpost to tell you you've failed. It was a signpost to get you to step up and move beyond this, because you've grown from the experience. Hence, you can now fly. The Wheel of Fortune. This was an opportunity sent to help to change you in some way, shape or form, to move you. It's sort of to upgrade you, to help you to be able to move forwards, because you can learn from the experience, you can grow, you can take something forwards now, because I do feel you are in a zone where you're meant to fly. Such a lot happening in this energy. I feel like this is actually what's needing to be said within your reading. I'm not sure whether there is anything else much to come through for you, my beautiful pile one, beyond really the encouragement and trusting and believing that you can really get up and start again, because now you're on solid ground. Now you're strong. You've learned. This is really fab for you. You know, if you learn, you're always the winner if you learn from something. And not letting something get you down, which is very hard if it's had an emotional kind of dent. But yeah, that's what I feel. It's like actually this was sent to assist you. Noticing little hairs on the cards. My apologies. But yeah, this was actually sent to as a turning point for you, whatever this situation, in order to literally to fly, to be on a solid foundation, to move forwards amazingly, to address something. And for some of you, it could be addressing something within you, these sort of like mechanisms within us, like the parent, adult, child. Do you have a raging inner critic? In which case, maybe you need to be really kind to yourself here. And encouraging and supportive, but whilst also firm. Do you have a very, a wounded child in you? In which case, perhaps that child needs nurturing, but encouraged to get back up again, with all the encouragement in the world. If a child fell over, you wouldn't sort of tell them they should never get back up again because they'll fall every time. You encourage them, you get them up and say, well, that's okay, we're fine. Let's have another go. You support, you encourage. And that's what I feel is needed here. Wow, my lovely pile ones, this is your reading. Thank you for being here so much. Don't forget to subscribe, press the little bell icon if you want to make sure you never miss a reading. And I'm really honoured to be connected with you all. Thank you for commenting and liking and sharing. Tons of love. Pile 2, welcome to your reading. You have the card of Craft Your Focus. Card number 13. You know what I'm hearing? It's like lucky for some. That's what they call it. When it's like called out in like something like a game or something like bingo. Number 13, lucky for some. Okay, Craft Your Focus. I don't know what that will mean. It could be relevant to some of you. The number 13. Instead of trying harder, try differently. Okay. That is really interesting. So what is this full moon energy? Either helping you to see, showing you the way, craft your focus. Okay, try differently. Instead of trying harder, try differently. May we kindly ask, please? Doesn't feel right. Okay. Do you know these are not feeling right just yet? Let's draw from the other decks first, and we'll come back to them. I dowsed when I was working for the cards, and this came through, and it came through in pile 1. So I don't know why it would not necessarily. It may be that it's not right for this reading, but let's see. Or maybe there's indecisiveness around. I don't know. There we go. You have Archangel Gabriel, communication of all kinds. Craft your focus. Instead of trying harder, try differently. This is kind of fascinating because I feel like I'm wondering if you are meant to consider also, energetically how you are communicating. Because when we craft our focus, when we think about how we manifest, often we get very heavily involved in how to do something and how to make something happen. And actually, if we can just get still, very often the way is shown to us, or, stuff just comes through, or the way is lit up, or things sort of flow and click into place. I don't know, maybe, and if that, that energy is, our field is influenced by the way that we think, by our focus. Where do we place our focus? You have pray to the east, guardian. Oh, this is super good. Pray to the east, guardian watches over the west. And then you have the snow shepherdess. The snow shepherdess is a card of, it's like believe in the impossible. Believe that the possible is the impossible, or something like that. I feel like my camera looks really fuzzy today. I really apologize if that is the case. I hope it's not. I'm not quite sure why. Pray to the east. Look at the red light is behind her. Instead of trying harder, try differently. I feel that there's something quite important for you to become aware of, or they're trying to get you, your guides are trying to get you to view something through a different lens, and it is about your focus, where you place your energy or how you approach something. Because something is very possible. There's something that was a block is behind you. It may be you're still looking through a lens, like a magnifying glass, and still looking through a particular lens and still seeing life through a particular problem or a particular approach. And actually that's not relevant to you. This is possible. What you're wanting to do is possible here, I feel. Here we are. Revelations. That's your next card. Okay. I wonder if there might be another in this. Yeah, there it is. Revelations and reconnection. Reconnection came out in pile 1. So if you were drawn to pile 1, there could be a message there for you. But reconnection, revelations. Communication, revelations. I think that there has been something that was a bit of a red light. Did you see the red light, the red flags? Maybe there is something, a revelation. Maybe you've seen something. Look at her looking through this beautiful bird. Looks like a bit like a jay. Through that with the eye. A communication. Instead of trying harder, try differently. Okay. I feel something has, a red light has shown up in some way. Now, it could be that it did feel like something was blocked and it's now behind you. But I feel like something was possibly like a red flag. And it arrived to try and get you to look in a different direction. It would be like if you were going, let's say if you were going to buy something and you really like it, you think you're going to buy it, but it's quite a big decision and you commit. But then something pops up and it's like that red flag, that niggle. And I think this is sort of, instead of trying harder, try differently. Rather than trying to fix it, maybe you need to look in a different direction. Pray to the east, guardian watches over the west. Do you feel something's been shown to you, or there was a revelation, or something's come into your awareness? You see something. And the purpose of it was, I think, to help you to move in a particular direction or to do something differently, basically. That it feels almost quite a straightforward message, which is interesting because very often, you sit with the cards and it's like different layers of messages, filter through. And as a general reading, obviously, it's like finding the messages within that are really resonating. But, the energy is the energy. In this reading, I am really feeling as though this is about crafting your focus, bringing your focus into being. Something has caused, you've seen something was, you could even have read something here. Like, what if you were to suddenly, you read a book, or literally, how sometimes you can open a book randomly and on a page, you open the book and my goodness me, like right on that page, there's a sentence that just leaps out at you. And it was exactly what you needed to hear in that very, very moment. I'm actually having this major, major pull to go and get a book and just open it and see what it says. And bear with me. I think I'm going to do that. Bear with me. Okay, I've literally just grabbed the book that was closest to me. It's actually a book that I wrote that's no longer available, but I'm just going to open it. Oh, can you believe it? Problems. Okay. Consider viewing any kind of problem as an opportunity rather than a potential crisis. Communications of all kinds. Every problem contains within it the source of a potential resolution. Whenever we identify a problem, our very recognition and acknowledgement of this difficulty creates an opportunity to seek a potential solution, to work out what we can do about it, how we might address this situation, where we might go to seek answers, and what avenues might be available to us to potentially arrive at a resolution. As long as a problem remains unseen, unrecognized, or even denied, then the doorway to any possible solution remains closed. When faced with a problem or difficulty or a challenge within our adult lives, what we each choose to do in response to this challenge can make the difference between a problem being compounded and repeated, or alternatively worked through, resolved, and used as a valuable learning curve, creating significant and lasting change. In this, we have a choice. Okay, revelations. So something has either been shown to you already, that's what I feel like we're being shown. Pray to the east, guardian watches over the west. The west is a direction where we go inwards. And yet you're being asked to look forwards, to look beyond something here. Instead of trying harder, try differently. Craft your focus. I suspect something's come through a communication. Or there's if it hasn't yet, if this is not gelling with you, but you're still feeling drawn to it, because I mean sometimes we sit with a reading and think, oh, I don't know if this is for me, but if this is not quite gelling and yet you're drawn to it, it could be that something is about to be shown to you. You're about to see something differently. This is a most amazing card, the Snow Shepherdess, because it tells you that something that you thought was not possible is possible. It's like it's such an energy of promise. I think we better draw your tarot cards, actually. I think there's going to be some revelation. Maybe there's a revelation already, and it's lit up what you see. She's lit up. She's lit up. I think it's literally something has lit up your ability to see something in a particular way or through a particular lens. Maybe the full moon itself is lighting something up. You have strength. You have Six of Cups. Six of Pentacles, 2 sixes. You have the Hermit. This is definitely coming, and this, but I do feel there's one sort of in the middle there somewhere. I just need to like maybe shuffle it. There it is. And see what comes through. You have the Star. Okay. You've got the Strength card. Taming the Beast. 6 of Cups. I don't know why that came through, but it did. Taming the Beast. Okay, she's looking really quite satisfied sitting here with her 6 of Cups, actually. 6 of Cups, again, it's really interesting. It is a time when we sometimes do reflect. We've got the 6 of Pentacles, which is very much about generosity. And the Hermit. Look at the wisdom in this person here. I wonder if you need to hold the higher ground in something here, maybe. You've seen something, or if you haven't, I think you might do soon. There's some kind of revelation, some kind of a communication. It kind of feels like it's what do you do with it? You've got the Emperor, which is a card of, will that go up? Yeah, that works. You've got the Emperor, you've got the 3 of Swords and the Queen of Swords. I kind of feel this might be about you being in a position of generosity. Try differently, do it differently, approach it differently. Make a decision about... The Queen of Swords can be quite a toughie. She can be a little bit of an ice queen. And yet that's sitting beneath the 6 of Pentacles. I wonder if you're being asked to you've seen something, there's been a revelation. You're aware of something that you weren't aware of before. I think maybe it's changed your perception of something. Instead of trying harder, try differently. I wonder if it might, as well, have triggered like a like a response in you that would be the way you like. I mean, the example that's come to mind, which so I'll just go with it because just to describe the energy, but it would be like if you grew up in a family where somebody wasn't particularly kind, and your response was to try even harder. I mean, maybe this is not a good time to try even harder. If you've become aware of something, maybe you need to put it behind you and not keep trying at something, because perhaps you've persevered for too long. Maybe you do need to just reflect. You can be generous of mind, of spirit, of source, but maybe you need to move ahead. You need to look ahead with the star. I feel like maybe you need to take charge of something here, actually. Make a really clear decision in the face of something that's happened, or if it hasn't happened, that maybe is about to. A communication. You have the Knight of Wands. He's really moving forwards. Very interesting Knight of Wands, because he looks like he's about to do battle. But he is a fast-moving energy. He's very decisive. And you have the Judgment. I suspect there is a situation. You're going to hear something, or if you haven't already. And I do feel you will probably need... This is actually inviting you to, I think, to take charge, to call that shout, to decide actually what to do and how to decide to respond. If you were somebody who would go back and try again, maybe you shouldn't go back and try again. Maybe you need to do it differently, take charge when you're aware of something. I think this is about doing it differently, as it says. Maybe you are a really benevolent person. And I think there's something about commitment as well here. If the Judgment card, there's like a couple here, like getting married. A little couple of skeletons getting married. Skeletons in the closet. Has something come out of the closet? Or something had been revealed again? Gosh, maybe if you're coming out of the closet, so to speak, if you feel strongly about something, or there's something that you did not believe was possible and you're preparing, instead of trying harder, try differently. This is loaded with choice in terms of you taking charge of how you respond to something with the lens of new awareness, through the lens of new awareness. That's what I feel we're being shown here. Very kindly ask. You've got the Tower. You have the Seven of Wands. This is breaking out of a mold, I think. Breaking out of a mold, doing it different. It is about doing it differently, responding differently. Everything is possible. You have the Seven of Pentacles, and you have the Two of Wands, which is such a fantastic energy. Look at you in the spotlight here. If you would normally have kept yourself under wraps, again, maybe you need to reveal something. Maybe you need to say something to communicate more clearly to people. Perhaps if previously you had been fearful of communicating openly, now is the time to do it. Have a voice. This is definitely breaking out of the mold, and maybe rather than being defensive, I almost want to say just be solid about the. I think you're on solid ground here with the Seven of Pentacles. I think you'll be seen. Maybe people as well. If you're stepping out of like a habitual way of responding to something, maybe people are going to see you really differently and in a good way. Is there any more information about this? I'm kind of curious with the Snow Shepherdess what this is, because the Snow Shepherdess is a beautiful, I mean, it really is. It's like believe in possibility. Can we ask about the Snow Shepherdess, just to get a little bit more information? We've got the Nine of Pentacles. I mean, this is the most wonderful card of self-satisfaction. It's like, almost like I always feel this card comes like with that saying, you know, I did it my way. So, but of real personal achievement. Craft your focus. I think this is about, for some of you, you may even have to be responding or communicating to someone. And if you're going to be, really, really take the time to craft, sit down, connect with nature, really take time to think about how you are going to voice what you need to voice. I think you have the ability to do this. You have the ability to think about what this is. You've got the Fool and you have the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is a beautiful energy of, it's just, this is, we're proceeding here, but with some, in a really loving way. And with the Fool, there is, yeah, whatever your situation, I feel that the full moon is perhaps bringing it, it's a point of turn, which the energy is with a full moon. It is a point of turn where you can absolutely move something forwards. And you're very much in charge of it. I do feel you're in a position of much greater power, and this is very much about your own empowerment, having a voice, thinking about how you say what you need to say. You even might prepare to think about what you're going to say. Gosh, if any of you are making a revelation, telling people about something that you know isn't actually okay, and or indeed it could be celebrating, it could be celebrating, telling people about something that is okay. Perhaps you're telling people about how to do something differently. But I do feel, because of, you know, instead of trying harder, try differently. This is very much about how you present yourself and choosing to present what you need to say in a very, very different way. Doing it differently, stepping out of your comfort zone, testing the waters, not responding in an autopilot kind of way, putting something behind you, but my goodness me, not in any way losing ground. You're not losing ground in any way, shape or form. It really is just about reviewing and viewing what you yourself can do so that you yourself can step into the fullest potential of the situation, because something's very possible here in terms of literally sort of like the outcome that you might personally desire. This is so interesting, such interesting energy. I kind of feel that's what's coming through. I feel like that's all that is coming through for you, pile 2, with this reading. I mean, this is so wonderful to have this card as such an affirmation. So, yeah, really craft your words, craft your focus. Think about how you want to present whatever it is, how you want to proceed, how you want to manifest a situation and move it forwards using your language, your thoughts, and be very much in charge of it rather than, you know, trying harder in a way that is already maybe an autopilot response or something like that. I hope this is making some sense to you, my beautiful pile 2s. Beautiful souls, thank you so much for being here. And don't forget to subscribe and press the little bell icon if you want to make sure you never miss a reading. And I'm sending you all the love in the world. Thank you for commenting as well, and liking and sharing and subscribing. Tons of love. Pile 3, welcome to your full moon reading. Here is your first card. Old habits that no longer serve need rewiring. Okay. It's quite funny. There is in some elements in these readings almost like a little bit of firmness coming in. It's like, come on, you know, full moon energy, illuminating what doesn't work for us anymore. Something needs reviewing. Okay, I wonder what this is. May we kindly ask for more information and guidance around this full moon? What is this energy bringing? I am seeing this one. This came out in both the other piles. It's come out in every pile, reconnection. It has meant sort of different things in different piles, but I'm finding this really interesting. I feel like we might want some more from this deck. It's just what I'm kind of tuning in with. Let me ask to see what else is coming through. You have bypassing and Lilith. Ooh, this is really interesting. Very, very interesting. She's so calm, this card here, the energy of reconnection. Bypassing. What's coming through for me with bypassing is spiritual bypassing. You know, when people make an excuse for something and, you know, like they justify something in some way, shape or form. That's what's just landing in my mind at this moment. Lilith has, you know, she's a fighter. She stands up for injustice. Let's draw more cards before we dive into too much more. But this is very, very interesting. The energy. Court the feminine. Service, bringing value. Okay. Look at this pot with something that can be stirred in it. What are you cooking? What are you cooking up? Intimacy or fertility issues, something missing. Your reading is becoming more and more intriguing. Now I can see where these cards are maybe taking us. Court the feminine. Really take your time to unclutter your head or to be aware of your thoughts and ensure that your thoughts are positive and beautiful. We've got a little fox in her arms, you know, being flexible. But there is, look at this, there is a missing connection. Here, of course, we have the connection card. There's a missing connection or something. Gosh, or something has been bypassed. Maybe there's something you can't bypass anymore. Maybe you need to rewire, literally. I am so intrigued, truly, pile 3. I am so intrigued. Let me see what else we have here. You've got fearless. Okay. Fearless is a fabulous card because it's such an invitation to overcome fear, literally. Reconnection. Are you still, in some way, I mean, no reading will tell you what to do, but I wonder if it's really acknowledging something of something almost within your mind, your perception of something, or if something's missing. Are you blocking yourself? Is there something you're avoiding? Is there a connection you're avoiding? Is fear getting in the way of you being able to reconnect or re-establish something? Let's have a read of Court the Feminine. I've been reading out of these for the other 2 piles, so I will read for you. So, Court the Feminine. The word cunning is closely associated with the fox. We have the fox here. Cunning, like foxes and women, has been given a bad rap. Many have twisted the word's sacred origins into something manipulative and conniving, but the word arrives from an older Middle English word ken, a range of knowledge or sight. A cunning person understands the deep integral sight and wide-ranged vision leading to building an authentic life. Excavate your deep knowing and trust its messages. This is the way your soul sight grows sharp and your instincts return to the untamed power you were born with. Sharpen your cunning to cut away what no longer serves. Look at that, no longer serves. Isn't that mind-blowing? The very same words, the very same language. No matter what your gender, your life deserves the fierce protection that feminine discernment can bring. Intimacy or fertility issues. Lilith, her story is really interesting because she was born, or God created Lilith and Adam and put them in the Garden of Eden as equal partners. And Lilith absolutely embraced the equality, and she had great expectation, the expectation to be exactly who she was. without fear. And Adam was kind of got a bit fed up because she wasn't very compliant. And he complained, and God removed her from the Garden of Eden, made Eve out of Adam, and Lilith was forever banished and felt, it's like her birthright had been removed from her. So there's something here that goes back. Caught the feminine, maybe an old habit that has tangled you in the fear of a connection, if somebody had let you down, or again, if there was an injustice. So there is a sense of injustice coming through here. This is what I'm feeling. I feel like if there was an injustice, almost as though, I mean, do you banish yourself? Do you remove yourself when there is, if there is an injustice? Now, bypassing. It's interesting. I'll just voice this because it's there, arriving in my mind. But I have definitely, on occasions in my world, I've chosen to walk away from something peacefully because I didn't want the confrontation, or I was fearful of the confrontation. And I'm not judging myself or criticizing myself for doing that, but I have questioned in my own kind of soul searching whether it was my fear that was driving me, the fear of the confrontation. On the other hand, I could tell myself that I was doing the right thing by taking the peaceful option, but I sometimes wonder, was I bypassing, having a voice really for fear of the confrontation? There's something about this, a habit that no longer serves. Now, this is just something that I'm sharing that I remember of my own patterns. Okay, you have the Three of Cups, which is a card of real celebration of relationship harmony, actually. It's really joyous. Okay, I wonder, what else do we have? You have the Four of Swords. Now, this is, I feel, very much in alignment with Caught the Feminine, and asking you to get still, maybe to notice. You have the Five of Cups, so this is a card of disappointment, temperance, Ace of Cups. Let's press the pause button in terms of any more cards just for the moment. We will draw more, but let's really see where this is at. This is a celebration, and yet are you reticent for fear of history? This is like there's I think there are connections that you can celebrate, or even someone you could reconnect with, but you may be fearful of being disappointed again. This is definitely about balance and potentially even initiating. I think it is about initiating a reconnection. Now, I don't know who this is with. It could be a reconnection with a group of people or an individual. It could be a specific person. But I do feel there is the potential for a reconnection here. But it's a reconnection where you may be fearful of going back. What if the pattern repeated? And interestingly enough, what if the same thing happened again? I mean, this feels really quite specific. I'm going to ask for more information, I think. With fearless, this is about not allowing your fear to get in the way. That would be an old habit that no longer serves you. Letting fear get in the way, stopping you from being able to, kind of get to it, really, and make a reconnection with someone. You could be being bypassed, or you could be feeling like you are, like the world could be bypassing you while you're sitting in kind of isolation or feeling pushed out, because Lilith definitely felt pushed out. We have the Sun, which is a fantastic card. You have the Seven of Cups, the Three of Pentacles, we have the Ten of Cups. I think something really rather positive can come to. This is the card of long-term, happy love connections, good connections. Are you going to be, do you know, whether you are refinding your own balance in terms of your perspectives, because you've kind of got caught up in a mindset that's based on the past, or whether somebody is literally returning to your world who there's been a separation from, and this is a reconnection, and there's a fear or a concern that, perhaps something could happen again. There's definitely a sense of hesitation is what I feel is coming through here. Almost this feels a little bit like, when sometimes if something goes wrong, the person that we cease to trust is ourselves because we had made that decision. It's like, gosh, can I ever really trust myself to make the right decision again? It's got that feel around it that will, I'm sure, be a message for some and not all. We then have the Page of Pentacles. Okay, that's beautiful. There is promise here. The Page of Pentacles is a lovely energy of promise. It's kind of like, it's not exactly starting afresh, but in a way there is the opportunity, I feel, for like a fresh start. And I think the full moon is showing you this. The full moon energy, it's really showing you that you don't have to dwell in a fear of injustice happening again, or fear of the same thing happening again. And it's because it's not just about the same thing happening again. It's the fear that the same thing would happen again. It's the thinking patterns. It's the responding in the same way, going down that same road. This is all about bringing yourself back into balance. I feel that there is an opportunity to do something either very differently, or to shift your perspective, or to reconnect possibly with someone, to have another go at something and do it differently this time. Let's ask. May we kindly ask? Okay, I'm seeing this one and this one and this one. I think it's just this one off the top. You've got the Star. There is an opportunity. You have the Star, you have the Wheel of Fortune. You've got the Five of Pentacles, and you have the Queen of Swords. I feel a bit like there could be like an injustice embedded in you, almost. I don't know how better to put that. I know, maybe the very best way of saying this is to share something of this, because I have had some tough experiences in my life. I was really, really targeted. For me, there's a really raw area around that kind of stuff. If people are unkind, I can feel it in a really personal way, even though it's not always meant in a personal way. But I think it goes back to a time when I felt very much pushed out in the cold, very much, just, I don't know how bad, kind of rejected, pushed out, where there was that sense of injustice. Things weren't fair. But I have pondered on this a lot, really, myself, and actually I have thought to myself in many ways, and I think it is really, really true, I wouldn't be me without those experiences. And I feel that I have quite genuinely done a lot of soul-searching work. I've really tried to find the value and recognise the service as well, because I think some of the things I've done in my life that I hope have been helpful to others probably wouldn't have happened if those things hadn't happened to me first. So I think it's a bit like becoming a counsellor, because you need counselling, but from that you can take things so much further and help people. So I think there's been some real positive acts of service. But I know that if my buttons are pressed, if something resonates with that sense of injustice or unfairness, I think I can feel quite frozen. I have to stop and really think about it. It's like an autopilot reaction. And I have to really, really reassess and reground myself in the present moment of how it really is and not of my fears. And I feel there's something that you can overcome here. Now, obviously, that's a personal situation that I'm talking about, and they're my personal feelings. I'm not putting those upon you in any way. But there is something here about old habits being reviewed, seeing something, because this could be where you, a bit like where what's that saying, where you cut your nose off to spite your face. You know, when somebody closes the door to everything because they're really cross about something. And it may be that they're very justified in what they feel cross about, but actually they wipe out everybody when there was a whole load of good stuff. And really what they needed to do was to become discerning, which was in the book, wasn't it? Let me go to 10 again. It was about discerning, yes. No matter your gender, your life deserves the fierce protection that feminine discernment can bring. So this is about recognizing you absolutely have the right to defend yourself. But it isn't it isn't always all or nothing. It's like discernment. Be really thoughtful about who you share yourself with, who you don't. If someone shows up and it presses your buttons or they're not very nice or whatever, then that's just a really good indication to not hang out with them. It doesn't have to create a scenario where you walk away from everything. There's quite this sort of sense of all or nothing, something missing, rather than stepping into the learning, sort of feeling so hurt and so rejected. I'm sort of really feeling, it's really interesting just feeling my way into the energy of this. With the Queen of Swords, she's very good at being decisive. She's got a higher mind. She's very much in touch, I think, with her higher mind, her higher self. She can make quite clear decisions. If we're feeling quite emotionally knocked off balance or wobbled, the Queen of Swords is a very good energy to carry with you, because she holds the logical perspective. She helps us to be realistic and not exaggerate things or escalate things unnecessarily. And that is kind of what happens when our buttons are pressed. We often go down the road of, it's happening again, or what if it's happening again? And these are fear-driven patterns within us. And I feel that's what we're looking at. I feel this full moon, or the energy, I've said it in one of the other readings, I think if you're watching this and because it's arrived in your stream and you were drawn to it, it does, and it's not the full moon at this particular time for you, just look for the nearest full moon that's coming up, because that's probably when this might become relevant. But I do feel it is as if the moon is revealing to you that it's not all or nothing, and that you're not helpless, and really helping you to overcome the fear that could cause you to almost cut your nose off to spite your face, or push yourself out of a situation that could actually be beneficial to you. Let's see if anything else is shown up for you, my beautiful souls. You've got the Knight of Pentacles. This is a card that brings in the harvest, but in a bit of a weary sort of way. Tends to suggest you get to the end goal, but it's been quite hard work. You also have the Ace of Swords. Ooh, and you've got the Four of Pentacles. Look at him holding on to this. I actually rather love these cards. I really, really do. This is quite fascinating, because this is somebody clinging to something. Old habits that no longer serve need reviewing. This is really, really, I feel, about not allowing yourself to be tangled in a pattern of the past. I really do, or a perception. And it doesn't mean that something that's going on around you isn't real. It doesn't mean that something hasn't, if something's happened that's not okay or not fair, I'm so sorry. But it's trying, the reading, I think your guides are really trying to get you to move away from the fear of the all or nothing responses to something. And because it could mean that you end up closing yourself to something that you do actually want, through kind of trying to push something away because it doesn't feel right. But I feel like it's almost only one piece of something that doesn't feel right. It's not the whole package. And that's what I feel is coming through here. This is fascinating. It really, really is. I think it's going to be an incredibly insightful full moon. And I feel that you can really make some very clear decisions about this, about your situation. I really do. I think this is rather good. Very clear decisions, very clear choices. I feel like you can turn this around. It's almost as though you're in charge of the Wheel of Fortune. Which way are you going to spin it? Are you going to go back down a road where maybe you could be going over the same old sort of pattern of responding, or do you start something afresh, which could be absolutely amazing for you? Really, really turn things around. I'm actually going to ask if we can get a sneaky peek into the future. If you let go of a pattern and you really approach this without fear, what kind of happens? What's the outcome? Maybe kind of ask, what's the outcome for my pile threes if they really approach this differently? You've got the Eight of Swords followed by the Page of Wands. I feel that that kind of liberates you, because look at you tied in knots. It's like you can either hem yourself in, or you can kind of I almost want to say, get your mojo back and and start, activating what's possible for you. I also think for some of you, maybe you don't actually know, of course, how people will respond, because if you're used to behaving in a particular way, then you'll also be very used to people react, because if you react in a particular way, people then also react to that. So you might be used to a very familiar pattern, and I think if you behave differently, you don't know how people are going to behave to you, but they will change, because if we change, the external world changes. And this is suggesting with the Page of Wands that it could feel quite exciting. Really, some things might open up. If you are reconnecting with someone and you're fearful of something happening again, you can never know, can you, when you start a relationship or you reconnect with somebody, how it will really be. But this is suggesting there's a lot of passion, a lot of connection, a lot of excitement. I mean, if for you this is like a relationship reading and you are reconnecting with somebody, there's a lot of chemistry going on here. There's a spark. Pile 3, keep me posted in the comments. Let me know how this is panning out. I do feel you have the opportunity to spin the wheel in the direction you want to. It does mean that it's like not responding in the way that you normally do, not following a pattern, and also I feel it's almost like choosing the way forwards that is not fear governed. And choosing with the feminine just to be discerning, but not remain tangled, yes, not remaining tangled in the outcome. Be discerning, but not remain tangled in the, gosh, if this had happened, that would have happened. Or, when we go over and over it, that kind of stuff, it's like freeing yourself from that. Wow. Beautiful souls, tons of love. Don't forget to press the little bell icon and subscribe if you want to make sure you never miss a reading. And thank you for being here, and thank you for commenting. I'd love to hear your thoughts about how this is impacting in your world. And thank you so much, all of you. For those of you, I know some of you give back through the super thanks in the comments. It's just lovely of you. Thank you. And thank you all for liking, sharing and subscribing and all the things you do that support the channel. Tons of love, Pile 3.